Kengan Manga now has 150 chapters released, with 2 main villains or antagonists still around, technically 3 because clones in that, and perhaps even 4 because the G is pretty much a transcended character at this point. Today I'll be explaining what's known about these monsters, who they'll most likely fight, and everything important for the future of the story, so make sure you stick around. The first thing to note is they're all technically part of Worm. The 3 main characters I'll be talking about is the leader of the Worm Yarn, the Tiger Niko, and Gilbert Wu or Edward Wu's clone. Before all that, help me out by leaving a like and making sure you're subscribed for more Kengan content. Now let's get into it. Yarn is the most mysterious of the 3, so I'll need to dive into a little bit of theory territory for him. The majority of the fandom believes this is actually Yarn. He was referred to as the Connector, so about 99% chance that this is Yarn, the head of the worm. It's very likely that Yarn is the person, according to Faye, Oma and Roki are clones of. This becomes more clear when you look at the Naden fight with Roki. Naden is a direct subordinate, meaning one of the closest people in the worm to the head and serves directly under him. Meaning it's most likely the case that Naden knows what Yarn looks like, and his mission from Yarn was directly related to Roki based on their fight, and the simple fact that Naden also called Roki the Connector and the Omega. Of course, we don't know what the Omega is referring to, apart from the title of the series, Kengan Omega, with Koga being the Kengan and Roki being the Omega, but it most likely has another meaning that we'll learn of in the future. Roki's whole purpose in the story as well has been to kill worms from his grandfather Gaimikaku, the creator of the Niko style. It makes sense for Roki in the future to be the one to fight Yarn, and we may have actually already seen this. In Kengan Omega Chapter 0, we get these 2 panels of someone who looks like Roki or Oma fighting someone in a worm mask. This is either a fight in the future or one of the past, considering the Roki looking person is wearing the same outfit that Roki was wearing when he initially got introduced in Chapter 1. Currently in the story, Roki is teamed up with Kiryu and Akoya to take out various worm groups. My theory is that they'll most likely run into the Connector Yarn at some point in the future, resulting in Akoya's death to potentially allow Kiryu and Roki to escape. However, Kiryu's motive is still unknown to us, so it's very possible he could be some type of wildcard in the future of the story. I don't think Oma will have a fight with Yarn at all. He may also be a clone of him, but he doesn't seem to be interested in the worm directly. He's more interested in another character, which I'll discuss now. The person who's connected to everyone, the Tiger Niko, probably the most villainous character in the series. Technically, he's part of the worm, and according to ZG, he also has the same authority as the head Yarn, having his own faction in the worm. For what we know, he's currently the only alive Tokita Niko. He trained Kiryu in the Niko style in the past, he trained Kano Gito, he trained Lutien, he trained Faye, he had given Oma the advance. Man's just roaming the world, creating all these OP moves. My theory is that he was involved in all the other Tokita Nikos dying in the forest, apart from Oma's master. He was key in Oma's master actually dying. Technically is somewhat related to Garoki, but I don't think he cares about him whatsoever. His future battle will most likely be with Tokita Oma, of course. Kano Gito also despises him, so it is possible that maybe they team up on him in the future, similar to how the Kure handled Edward Wu. And before Irio died, he told Oma that the Tiger Niko is most likely way out of his league. Of course, this was before the 2 recent time skips, so Tokita Oma could have improved greatly again for all we know. His goal in the story seems to be solely based on gaining power, training a prodigy like Faye all the way up just to use him as a way to get more data to improve his own abilities, which is pretty insane. Of course, not even including him just giving people the advance, giving Lutien the Guhan to see what would happen, creating the Formless, everything like that. The Tiger Niko is truly an absolute mad lad. And then we have Gilbert Wu. He is now the leader of the Westwood faction of the Wu clan. He requested to have a meeting with the head of the worm Yarn. This probably made him an ally to the Worm, similar to how Edward Wu was an ally as well, so the Westwood faction is still technically part of Worm based on that. He's the clone of Edward Wu. Does that mean he's stronger than him or weaker than him? We currently have no idea. He does seem younger, so maybe weaker, but maybe his latent potential is something crazy due to being a clone or various other stuff we currently do not know. The Westwood faction is preparing for war against the main branch and the Kure clan, and Gilbert's match most likely in the series will be against Kure Ryan at some point in the future. If he is at least on Edward's level, that should mean he's much stronger than Ryan according to the Irio statement, as Ryan wasn't on Edward's level in a one-on-one. Of course, we have the 2 recent time skips, so for all we know, Ryan could be on that level already. And those are the big 3 main villains currently in the series. Not very much is known about all 3 of them, apart from the history regarding the Tiger Niko. We know the Tiger Niko absolutely clapped Mutaba low diff, with Mutaba being weaponed up and everything like that. He has a few comparisons to Edward Wu, who was a one-man army in his own right, and of course believing that he's currently much stronger than Oma's Niko from the past, which is most likely the case. It's been like 15 or 20 years or something crazy like that at this point. The Worm are currently no longer really an underground organization, as we see actual terrorist attacks from them now, so they're definitely on the move, shaking up the world, so something big in the story will definitely happen shortly. And for the people saying recently that the pacing has been pretty fast, yes, it has been fast, but there's still so much remaining in the story. Like, after 150 chapters, you wouldn't expect the 3 main antagonists to still be around and to be very mysterious and not have too much shown in the story. Yes, Edward Wu had his whole big fight, but Edward Wu is virtually back, so it doesn't even matter regarding that. But we also have one other character I mentioned briefly at the start of the video, Zia G. Man is honestly the evolved worm, the ultimate cockroach of the series. His goal is to actually become the head of the worm, so for him to replace Yarn, I guess. Don't know what really to say about that, but one thing's for sure, don't disregard Zia G. He will most likely return and do something pretty big, especially considering how much Sandovich likes keeping him alive as the ultimate cockroach. But as a whole, the real thing to understand from this video is Kengan Omega still has so much left. Like, I didn't even really mention Koga, the protagonist of the story, in today's video. That's how much stuff is really left in the story. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, check out all the other stuff in the description. Shout out to these absolute mad lads who support the channel via the Patreon. And make sure to check out these other videos down below. But yep, that's it guys. Peace.